in this video we are going to talk about the types of sentences. Those are simple, compound and complex sentences. So till now you have got to know about there are 4 or 5 types of sentences like assertive, imperative, interrogative, all that. Now apart from those, these are also the types of sentences. Okay, simple, compound, complex. We can also categorize them in terms of the formation, how they are made. So the types are simple, compound, complex. Now before knowing that, we need to know the main difference between phrase and clause. Okay, that's the first thing we need to know, that is the difference between phrase and clause. Okay, first of all we need to know this. Now first of all, phrase means what and clause means. Now there is only one difference between phrase and clause, that is the one thing which you need to remember is the subject and verb. Okay, subject and finite verb, subject and non-finite verb. Now in phrase, okay, in phrase what happens, the absence of subject and finite verb will be there. Have you understood? I am saying that the subject and finite verb will be absent from the sentence. Let's take for an example, children play in the park. Now here in this sentence, which is the subject? We are talking about children, so children is the subject. Verb is the finite verb. Okay, now as I said, if it has to be a phrase, then we need to remove this two part because they will be absent. Okay, phrase means the absence of subject and finite verb. So these two things will be out from here. So if these two things are out from here, what's left? In the park. Does it make any sense? Do you get to know any meaning? No, we don't. What happens in the park? Are we getting a proper meaning? No, we are not getting any proper meaning. That's just partial. Okay, we are getting an incomplete meaning. We are not getting the proper meaning, right? So that is phrase. Now let's talk about clause. That is the subject and verb or finite verb, what we say, that must be present in clause. Okay, and this you need to understand, because whatever we are going to see for identification of simple, compound, complex, that will be based on clause only. Okay, so if we say this is a clause, this is even a sentence also. A proper clause, if it's an independent clause, then it can be said to be a sentence also. That's not a problem. So let's take for this example. We have the subject present here, we have the verb present here, and this remaining part is there. So that means it is a clause. Now clauses are divided into two types. Okay, this clause have two types, that is independent, or they are called as main clause also they are called, and then another type is dependent, or they are also called subordinate clause. Okay, so by the name itself I think you can understand what is the meaning of independent and dependent, which does not depend on any other clause, that is independent, and which depends, that is dependent clause. It's a very easy thing. Now see this sentence, children play in the park. This is independent or dependent? This is independent. Okay, now this is an independent clause. Now if I say okay, let me take another example. You might have got bored with this. So let's say here, let me write it from here. Tara ate a cheese roll. Tara is what? Subject. Ate is what? Verb. And the remaining things are there. We just have to see if the subject and the verb is present or not. If it is present, then it's a clause, and we can identify or we can say that it's an independent clause. But now, if after this I add like after she watched the news, then this is a dependent clause. Okay, why? Because this part up to roll, this part is depending on this part, or you can say if we don't see this thing, okay, up to cheese roll we will not focus on that. We will see after she watched the news. After she watched the news, then what? This part or this clause, if you see, then this is also a clause. She, subject is present, watched, verb is there. That means this is also a clause. Now this clause is dependent on this part. If we don't write this or we don't talk about this part, then the sentence is not finished. We don't get a complete meaning. Okay, that is all what I'm trying to say. Dependent clause means what? When the clause is dependent on an independent clause for the completion of its meaning, then it is a dependent clause. Okay, I think I have been able to make you understand. Now we will get to know more. Okay, while we'll be talking about this types of sentences, we'll get to know about it more. Now as I have to say, now how we can identify that which sentences are simple, compound and complex. Now how we can understand that? Now you need to remember one thing. A simple sentence will have always one independent clause present. Okay, one independent clause. Can I write somewhere? Yeah. Simple sentence will have one independent clause. It will have one independent clause present. Now compound sentence will have at least two independent clause present, and those two or more independent clauses, they will be related, they will be combined, they will be joined by some coordinating conjunction like and, because, but, or. How many conjunctions you get? Okay, like while, when, no sorry, not when or while. Suppose it's like and, but, because, or, all these conjunctions will be there. It will be combining that. Let me give an example. Okay, let me give an example for simple sentence also. Let me write it here. Joe went to the church. Now what I said in the sentence, if you have to identify it as a simple sentence, then you have to see that the independent clause is present there. One independent clause should be present there. Okay, so now you see, this is what? Joe, this is a subject. Went is what? It is verb. That means it's a clause and it's not depending on anything. No other things are here. That means it's an independent clause. So one independent clause is there. That means it's a simple sentence. Okay. What I said about compound sentence is that there should be two independent clauses present, and those, at least two. Okay, and those clauses should be joined together by a coordinating conjunction. So let me say, for example, everyone was busy. Okay, I went to the movie alone. Now see, everyone, this is a subject, was is a verb, Here you see I is a subject, went is a verb. That means these are this and this. It's an independent clause. Now this two independent clause, how can we combine these two? With the help of which conjunction can we do that? Everyone was busy, so I can write this. So I went to the movie alone. So these two independent clauses, while they are combined by this one conjunction, so it becomes what? It becomes a compound sentence. Okay. Now, what we have learned till now is that a simple sentence and a compound sentence. Now we'll be talking about complex sentence. Let's revise once. Simple sentence has only one independent clause. Compound sentence has two independent clause, and it is combined. Those two independent clauses are combined by a coordinating conjunction. Done. Lastly, we will talk about complex sentence. Complex sentence is what? There will be one independent clause and one dependent clause. Just now I gave one example, no? Tara ate a cheese roll after she watched the news. Now if you see here, if you see in this sentence, Tara ate a cheese roll, Tara subject, ate is verb. Okay, on that other side, she is subject, watched verb. So that means both are clauses, but the use of the word after she watched the news. Now this is a dependent clause, and this is depending on what? Tara ate a cheese roll. Okay, so in complex sentence, that was a complex sentence. Okay, so if if in the sentence an independent clause, one independent clause and one dependent clause is present, that means that will be called as complex sentence. Okay, let's take one example from your book. Let's take, for example, okay, let's take question number 4. When we reached the venue, we realized we had come 2 hours early. Let me write it, okay, so that you will understand. When we reached the venue, we realized we had come 2 hours early. Now these two are clauses. Now see this thing. This is a dependent clause and this is an independent clause. How? We realized we had come 2 hours early. When we realized. When we reached the venue. Both are depending on each other. Yes, there will be when we reach the venue, you ask something. Here actually you are not waiting for any answer. We realized we had come 2 hours early. Okay, but if you see the previous part, this one, when we reach the venue, then if I stop after that, suppose if I stop after that, when we reach the venue, you are awaiting some more response, you are waiting some more meaning. What? Then what? After reaching the venue, then what? Yes, so you are waiting for some more information. So when we are waiting for someone for more information, that means you will get some more information, and what we get in the form of an independent clause. Okay, so that is how we have a dependent clause here. This is dependent clause and this is independent clause. So as we have got in complex sentence, there should be one dependent clause present and one independent clause present. Okay, so this is all we have learned about simple, compound, complex. Let's check from the book. So I called my friend Hasina to invite her for the play. I, subject, called, verb, and the remaining part, it's not necessary to see. That means there is only one independent clause present, so that means it's a simple sentence. Let's see the next one. We are going early because we want to get seats in the first row. We are going early. This is one clause, one independent clause. We want to get seats in the first row, one independent clause. Now these two independent clauses are combined by the coordinating conjunction, that is because. And then 4 number I have already explained it here. So I hope this part is done, and I have already provided the answers also. You, after going through this video, now you can analyze yourself. Okay, whatever you have understood, you analyze yourself with the answers whichever are given, and the workbook part which is left, you can analyze with that also. So you will find out which are the simple, compound and complex sentences. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you.